Tonight, at least 2 people are dead after a fire tears through a Montreal hostel.
And then we looked, and there was an explosion, and the fire started, so we all ran away.
Police describe it as suspicious. Records suggest the owner also owned a building burned down in an earlier fatal fire. A high-profile murder case from the 90s gets a new look from prosecutors. The Menendez brothers get new headlines.
We have a moral and an ethical obligation to review what is being presented to us.
Lured by promises of money and jobs, young men from Nepal end up fighting for Russia.
Didn't you know that you were going there to fight Ukrainians?
Briar Stewart tracks the story from Kiev to Kathmandu.
From CBC News, this is The National with Ian Hennemensing.
At this hour, Montreal police say they still don't know exactly how many people have been killed after a fire tore through a hostel and a restaurant in Old Montreal. But they confirmed at least 2 people died. And tonight, our colleagues at Radio-Canada have learned they are French nationals, a mother and her 7-year-old daughter. The fire began in the early hours and grew quickly, partially collapsing the 3-story building. Now the search is on to account for those who were inside and for answers as to how it started. Police are already calling it suspicious, and as Alison Northcott explains, security video shows someone breaking in just before the fire started.
Intense flames tear through a restaurant and a 19-room hostel above it. For hours, more than 100 firefighters fought smoke and flames at this 5-alarm fire in the heart of Old Montreal. Police say they don't know how many people were inside or how many didn't make it out.
Based on things that were said by the first people who fought the fire and based on what the first people we spoke to, we expect to find victims, unfortunately.
At least 2 people have died and at least 2 others are injured. Some were able to escape. This German tourist was staying in the hostel.
No windows, small room, just a bed. I felt like in a shoebox, honestly. Windows didn't open.
He ran out when the fire alarm went off after 2 a.m.
Smoke was already coming up. As soon as I was on the street, the girl came along. She had her pajamas on and she was like, there's a fire in the kitchen. And then we looked and there was an explosion and the fire started, so we all ran away.
Holy shit, I'm so scared right now.
This is what Brunella Costanzo saw from her apartment across the street. She's one of dozens of nearby residents forced out by the fire.
I was just really scared because I knew that there was people upstairs. I had seen them the night prior that there was people at the hostel upstairs. So my thought was like, oh my God, like I feel really like in a panic mode because I'm like, I hope they were able to get outside and escape.
Montreal police say the fire is under investigation by the Major Crimes Unit and the Arson Squad. Radio-Canada obtained this security camera footage that appears to show someone approaching the building, kicking the restaurant's side door, and then entering before the fire broke out. This comes 18 months after another deadly fire, police also believed to be criminal, killed 7 people in the same area. It was in a building with illegal Airbnbs. Both buildings are owned by the same person, Emile Benamor. Through his lawyer, he said he's cooperating with authorities. As for the building still smoldering.
In spring of 2023, formal notice for major non-compliance were sent to the owner of that building. We're talking about the absence of a fire alarm system and the absence of smoke alarm.
Fire officials say following that notice, those problems were fixed last spring.
The building was considered safe.
Montreal police say anyone who is missing someone who may have been in that building should contact them.
And Alison, what else do we know about the next steps in this investigation?
Well, as firefighters have been putting out the fire, police have not been able to access the inside of the building. Part of the building did collapse during the fire. So once the firefighters are able to secure the building, that's when the investigators will be able to get inside. They'll begin combing through the rubble, looking for any evidence and possible victims. Ian.
Alison Northcott in Montreal tonight. A suspect is in custody tonight, charged with committing 3 murders in 3 Ontario cities over 3 days. Jamie Strachan now on what we know about the victims and on an unusual fact. The alleged killer is a woman.
I think by definition, she is a serial killer. 3 murders in 3 days this week that police have linked to one woman, 30-year-old Sabrina Calder of Toronto. Victims in 3 different cities, Toronto, Niagara Falls, and Hamilton.
It's always difficult to speculate on what somebody would do.
On Tuesday, a woman in her 60s was found dead inside her Toronto home. Police have not been able to identify her, but according to neighbors, the accused also lived in the area.
I did recognize the woman kind of instantly. She used to walk her cats on a leash in the alley behind these houses.
The next day in Niagara Falls, 47-year-old Lance Cunningham was attacked in the middle of the day while walking his dog near this park. Then, Thursday in Hamilton, a 3rd victim. Police say 77-year-old Mario Bilic died in hospital after an apparent stabbing.
We have her present there, following him then to the area of his vehicle, and then leaving the area shortly after the offense is committed.
Bilic was a well-known and liked retired teacher.
He was a wonderful man. He wouldn't hurt a fly, nobody. That's why it's painful to know his news.
Police arrested Calder later that day at a hotel in nearby Burlington. Bilic and Cunningham were randomly targeted, they say, while Calder was known to the Toronto victim.
When we have someone who's committed 3 offenses in a real tight time frame like that, there is a risk of them obviously committing further offenses.
But in this case, the suspect is unusual.
It would make me wonder what's in this woman's background to have made her engage in homicide, like once, let alone 3 times.
This case is full of unknowns. Police are also looking for this woman. On the day of the first alleged murder, she bought clothes Calder had with her when she was arrested 2 days later. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Jacob Hoggard, former Headley frontman, has been found not guilty of sexual assault. As Thomas Dagla shows us, it didn't take the jury long to come to its verdict.
It took just 5 hours for 12 jurors to agree Jacob Hoggard is not guilty of sexual assault. The now 40-year-old broke down in tears, slowly collapsing in his chair after the verdict was read out. Earlier shielded from the cameras outside that northeastern Ontario courthouse, it was the second time Hoggard was on trial on charges of sexual assault. The outcome Friday night, a disappointment for the Crown.
We want to thank the jury, the judge, for their time in this case and for the energy they put into making the decision. Okay? Thanks very much, folks.
At trial, a woman tearfully testified that she had been traumatized ever since the encounter when she was 19. That night in June 2016 began with this Headley concert. Later, the singer posed for a selfie with the complainant at an outdoor after-party. Then it was inside Hoggard's motel room that she said he became violent, alleging he pinned her to the bed, then choked and slapped her. But Hoggard testified this week in his own defense, insisting what happened was a consensual one-night stand. "Did you rape this woman?" Hoggard's defense lawyer asked him before the jury. "No," he replied. "Did you touch her sexually in any way without her consent?" the lawyer asked. "No," he repeated, later saying she was as into it as I was.
And they took a grand total of no time to believe him.
The jury wasn't told that 2.5 years ago in Toronto, Hoggard stood trial on similar allegations. He was acquitted on 2 charges, but convicted of sexual assault causing bodily harm against another woman. In 2018, Hoggard wrote, "I have never engaged in non-consensual sexual behavior in my life." He'll keep serving his 5-year sentence for that prior conviction, with another trial now behind him. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
Israeli airstrikes have again rocked Lebanon. Officials say about 1,400 people have died during the past week of Israel's offensive. And Margaret Evans shows us the arrival of Iran's foreign minister in the country didn't calm tensions.
The plane carrying Iran's foreign minister touching down in Beirut as Iran's most powerful ally in the region reels. Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, assassinated exactly a week earlier. And 24 hours earlier, another bunker-busting bomb landing not far from the airport. The apparent target, Nasrallah's possible successor. The foreign minister said Iran would back a ceasefire, but only if both the Lebanese people and Hezbollah accept it, and that it coincides with the ceasefire in Gaza. He also said Iran has no plans to attack Israel unless Israel attacks Iran, as it's been threatening to do since Iran fired 180 ballistic missiles at Israel. In Tehran, for the first time in 5 years, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, emerged to lead Friday prayers. The brilliant action of our armed forces 2 or 3 nights ago, he says, was completely legal and legitimate. And he called the Hamas attacks on Israeli communities next to Gaza nearly 1 year ago justified. Israel's defense forces claim they've killed 250 Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon since sending their troops across the border earlier this week. An Israeli airstrike also forced the closure of the Masna border crossing, through which hundreds of thousands have been fleeing into Syria. Aid agencies warn that Lebanon is facing a potential humanitarian crisis, with some 1 million people on the move.
With more people displaced every day, most of the nearly 900 government-established collective shelters in Lebanon have no more capacity to host all those displaced.
In Beirut, many who fled Israeli airstrikes elsewhere in the country or Hezbollah neighborhoods here in the capital are still sleeping outside. Safety, they say, has become hard to find in Lebanon. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Beirut.
The UN is calling for more support for the multi-nation mission in Haiti after one of the country's armed gangs reportedly massacred at least 70 people, including children.
Given the violence that we have seen, the Secretary General strongly condemns the attack by armed gangs in the town of Pont-Sondé.
The UN says the gangs swept through a town in Haiti's agricultural heartland, forcing thousands to flee. This as years of spiraling violence has sent parts of Haiti into famine-level hunger. CBC News has learned that Ottawa police are creating a dedicated parliamentary unit. This comes after a rash of incidents steps from the House of Commons.
Corrupted bastard. Want to say something? What? Want to say something? You say nothing? What does it mean? That? You got something to say?
Including this confrontation last month involving NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, other MPs have reported being harassed, even assaulted. Parliament's protective service has already restricted access to some areas, but the new police unit will have the power to lay criminal charges. There are calls tonight for Canada's minister responsible for addiction to resign unless she follows through on a promise to ban flavoured vaping products. Marina von Stackelberg on the ultimatum and the minister's response.
Many cigarette smokers say vaping has helped them quit. But national statistics show the vast majority of Canadians who start vaping were never smokers in the first place. They are new nicotine users.
They've integrated a toy, essentially, with an addictive product. And it smells, this one is mango.
National health groups say the federal government has failed to deliver on its promise made 3 years ago to ban vaping flavors.
We have over 300,000 Canadian kids using vaping products in Canada. This problem is out of control. And the main reason they're smoking vaping products is because of all the flavors.
But the vaping industry says fruity vape flavors are what help adults quit smoking.
If someone that smokes and they all of a sudden try a mango flavor, there's no doubt that they would easily transition because it's much more palatable.
Health Canada has yet to act on its other plans to regulate vape designs and packaging or make it harder for youth to buy them. The promise to ban flavors by this past spring, that never happened. The health groups say Canada's addictions minister should resign.
The entire regulatory process has been stalled, and it was stalled after meetings with the vaping industry.
Records show Minister Yara Sachs met with the vaping lobby right as the regulations were set to be finalized. After 3 years of consultations, Health Canada now says it needs to do more. In a statement, Sachs's office says, "We have been clear, flavors are going to be restricted. But we need to do this right so that the regulations do not create loopholes that would put our youth further at risk or be hard to enforce. While the federal government consults, some provinces and territories have restricted vaping flavors. But people are getting around that by getting the products shipped in from other provinces. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
The Supreme Court of Canada is upholding compensation rules for air travelers laid out in Canada's Passenger Rights Charter. It dismissed an appeal by a group of airlines that had argued Canada's rules shouldn't apply to international travel. The Air Passenger Protection Regulations set out treatment and compensation rules for flight delays, cancellations, and lost or damaged luggage. Newly approved COVID vaccines are being rolled out across Canada. The pandemic is no longer a global emergency, but the virus certainly hasn't disappeared. And as Mike Crawley shows, that means the public messaging has a different tone.
Fresh out of the box, the latest COVID-19 vaccine has just arrived at this Toronto pharmacy.
We've had a lot of people ask about it and are on our waiting list.
The updated formula targets the strain of the virus that's most dominant in Canada right now.
You're the first one to get the new one here. Oh, cool.
A big question for this latest vaccination campaign: how many Canadians will roll up their sleeves one more time?
This can fall off of people's radars as being something that's still important.
This doctor wants you to know why you should get the updated COVID shot.
The vaccines that we've had in the past may not be good matches for what's going on right now. And then the other side of it is your immunity after being vaccinated or even after a natural infection will wane over time.
With COVID vaccinations now in their 4th year, the current campaign has a different tone. Gone are the mass vaccine clinics and the widespread advertising urging everybody to get the jab.
If the government's put in minimal effort to try and get people engaged, there'll be very, very low uptake of COVID vaccine in general.
This year, Ottawa promises an advertising campaign targeting the people at highest risk.
I think shifting our focus to those individuals that we really want to protect from severe outcomes is a recognition of we're in a different place right now.
Seniors are among those at highest risk. Last year, only 2/3 of them got a COVID shot.
7 deaths a day in Canada from COVID still. It's around. It's endemic. It is not going to go away. Our future will be adapted yearly shots for flu and COVID.
Anything to keep me healthy.
If you aren't in the higher risk categories, you'll have to wait until late October before you can get the new COVID vaccine. And by that time, the flu shot will be available too. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Prosecutors in Los Angeles say they're looking at new evidence in a decades-old, high-profile murder case.
Eric and I killed our parents together, so I'd say that makes us pretty close.
How a TV series overlaps with renewed interest in the case of the Menendez brothers. Next. Plus, are school cell phone bans working?
When you take that away from them, it's almost like their focus has to change to something else.
1 month in, the reviews are mixed. And later, 2 birds and a baby.
We noticed that 2 males were taking turns building a nest.
The male flamingos tending a family of their own. We're back in 2. A herd of elephants struggling to escape from a sanctuary in northern Thailand after flash floods devastated the region. Officials say so far 117 have been rescued, but 9 others are among several animals still stranded. The area has seen heavy flooding for weeks. At least 49 people have been killed. Prosecutors in the U.S. say they're reviewing new evidence in the decades-old murder case of Eric and Lyle Menendez. The brothers, now in their 50s, are serving life sentences for killing their parents. Julia Wong explains what's prompting this new look.
I'm going to need you to walk me through what happened.
The story of the Menendez brothers continues to captivate true crime junkies. The sensational details of how then 18-year-old Eric and 21-year-old Lyle killed their parents Jose and Kitty in their Beverly Hills mansion in 1989 became must-see TV. Now, why they did it is getting another look as the spotlight on the case intensifies thanks to a new Netflix series.
We have a moral and an ethical obligation to review what is being presented to us.
Prosecutors argued greed was the motivating factor. Eric and Lyle maintain the killings were self-defense, saying their father sexually abused them. Now, prosecutors are examining a letter Eric apparently wrote months before the murders, telling his cousin he was the victim of molestation.
This is the testimony that Eric and Lyle needed.
And allegations at the center of a 2023 documentary that Jose Menendez, a music executive, molested a member of the Puerto Rican boy band Menudo. Lyle Menendez spoke with CBS's 48 Hours last year about the new evidence.
It's a burden to be telling what happened to and just have so much doubt in the public air.
We are reviewing the information, but I think it's also important that we recognize that both men and women can be the victims of sexual assault.
The brothers' first trial ended in a hung jury. In their second, much of the evidence about the alleged abuse was withheld. They were convicted of first-degree murder in 1996. The review of the case is getting praise.
In our culture, we've come a long way in the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. I think we're at a point now where any reasonable person taking a look at this case believes they should be out.
The brothers could ultimately get a new trial or new sentences. A hearing is scheduled for the end of November. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Classroom cell phone bans were brought in or strengthened in many schools this fall.
Definitely been like a good out of sight, out of mind factor for me. I can focus more.
How the policies are working for students and teachers. Plus, the foreign fighters lured into Russia's war on Ukraine.
Now I regret everything, like every movement, every step.
Briar Stewart on the young men from Nepal killed or captured on a battlefield far from home. And later, pulling back the curtain on the NHL. Our panel takes on a new behind-the-scenes docuseries. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. Depending on where you're watching tonight, there's a good chance cell phones are banned at a school near you. It's a change for many students and teachers this school year. Now, a month on, the reviews are trickling in. Deanna Sumanag-Johnson on what works and what doesn't, depending on who you ask.
Don't forget your books tomorrow.
This Corner Brook school couldn't wait for Newfoundland and Labrador to expand its cell phone ban to grades 7 and up, so it introduced its own. Early results have been promising.
When you take that away from them, it's almost like their focus has to change to something else, which can be my math lessons, which is excellent.
As for the students at the school, well, we'll get to them. Across the country, many provinces have introduced or strengthened already existing school cell phone bans. In British Columbia, school districts are expected to have formal policies restricting cell phone use in class. Now, that doesn't mean an outright ban, and this teacher is okay with that.
Not every school has access to endless amounts of iPads or laptops or, all of those other tools. So a lot of us use it so that students can record information, can do research, can put together very innovative projects.
In Ontario, the already existing ban was strengthened this school year, but problems exist, says this teacher.
It's not going to be effective if parents are giving a different message at home. Funny enough, the most frequent interruption due to cell phone use is often when a parent is calling their child in school.
The ban is also getting mixed grades from those most affected by it, students.
And I think it might be more useful for those in grade 9 and 10. When it comes to grade 11 and 12, I think we should be learning how to self-regulate.
But students at the Corner Brook School admit the ban is working.
It's definitely been like a good out of sight, out of mind factor for me. I can focus more.
This is really a big, massive change that we're finally starting to feel, and we definitely do need it.
As children and teens so adept at navigating new technology, learn how to navigate rules around their use in schools. Deanna Sumanag-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig a little deeper into the stories shaping our world. High-speed action and brutal battles, the raw emotion of life in the NHL.
But that's not good enough. It's finals.
Will this bring new fans to the league? But first.
Now I regret everything, like every movement, every step.
Faced with poverty in their native Nepal, young men lured by support jobs in the Russian military are finding themselves on the front lines of a deadly war with Ukraine. The problem is so bad, the Nepalese government has now banned people from getting work permits in Russia. Briar Stewart traveled to Nepal to hear the heart-wrenching stories.
It's near the end of an 18-hour bus ride over Nepal's rutted roads. Till Kamari Poon made the long journey from her remote village to the capital to meet with CBC News because we managed to speak with her only son. How is he? She cries. She's desperate to find out anything she can. Her son is here, a jail in western Ukraine, where he's a prisoner of war along with a few other Nepalese.
And so was your plan to send...
We spoke to him through a video call.
Now I regret everything, like every movement, every step.
He says when he left Nepal, his plan was to study abroad, but he ended up a prisoner of war in Ukraine after joining the Russian military. He's one of hundreds, maybe even thousands, of Nepalese men who were recruited in part by social media videos like this, promising big money, the equivalent of 2,800 Canadian dollars a month. They showed soldiers looking relaxed and well taken care of, far from what many of them ended up experiencing.
I regret everything, like every...
We sat down with Poon's mother and some of his other relatives to show them the video of our interview with him. She can't understand much of what her son is saying, as a lot of the interview is in English, and at times she seems pained to look at the screen.
Did you know that there was a war?
No, how would I know being in a village, she said. He went there without telling me anything. When she discovered he was in the military, she called and tried to convince him to come home. But he said he wanted the job to help support his family. How stupid of him to go to the war without any skills or experience, she said. He went blindly into it for the greed of money. Like many other men, Poon said he didn't think he was signing up for a job on the front line.
Didn't you know that you were going there to fight Ukrainians?
I just asked with friends, like he said, they don't send us in front line, like we have no experience, so we are just 3.5 month training. After we were helping like medical supports and evacuation too.
But the front line is where he and others ended up. These are some of the dozens of men who have been killed there. Now, some of the videos circulating on social media show men asking for help to leave. We're hoping that the government will return us back to Nepal, says this man. Nepal is a country of rich cultural traditions on the southern slopes of the Himalayas. It's a developing country with a growing tourism industry. But 1 in 5 people still live in poverty. And Nepal remains heavily reliant on money earned abroad being sent to support families back home. And the Russian military has tapped into that eager, often desperate workforce.
Did you know that he wanted to join the Russian military?
Yeah.
Bishal Khatri's older brother Vivek is also a prisoner of war. He told CBC News he was on the front line for a day and a half before being wounded in the leg and taken prisoner.
He's also telling me you not go to the front line, just you work in the kitchen. So.
But earlier photos sent home showed him posing in full combat gear.
Last option ma aera.
He found out he could get paid more if he went there, Bishal said. He even said if he dies, the family would get lots of money. Nepal has now banned its men from traveling to Russia on work permits. Officials say that about 170 who were there have now returned home after their military contracts expired. Now the government and volunteers are trying to track down the rest of the men and repatriate the remains of those who've been killed. So we've been meeting with a local activist who's been in touch with family members of Nepalese men who are fighting for Russia. And overnight she told us she got a call that 2 more men had died. And right now she's taking us to a home where the widow of another man lives. She lives on the outskirts of town. Once we make our way down a slippery path, we're welcomed into Tina Gimiray's 2-room home, where her children are getting ready for school. On the bedroom wall hangs a picture of her husband. He was in Nepal's military for 17 years and said he thought he was taking a job in Russia as a security guard. After he reached there, he told me it's very difficult to come back, she said. Gimiray said he paid an agent the equivalent of nearly 10,000 Canadian to get a visa and travel to Russia. The government declared him dead in the summer of 2023. I never told my son the bad news, she said. He asks, does father phone us? I reply, yes, he does. Gimiray is a house cleaner and fears for how she will support her family. She says the money her husband made in Russia is stranded in a bank account there. Kritu Bandari is an activist trying to help Gimiray get compensation. She's working with several women. She's led marches calling on the government of Nepal to do more to bring the men back and to stage protests in front of the Russian embassy in Kathmandu. She says Nepalese men are still going to Russia. We've received documents which show some have been recruited in the past month and a half, she says. Some have reached Russia, she says, by going through other countries like the United Arab Emirates. Nepalese police have arrested a few dozen people accused of charging thousands to help traffic the men to Russia. As part of their investigation, they found stashes of cash and passports. Poon's mother is appealing to the government to try to secure her son's release. She says brokers might have lured him to Russia, but the blame rests with him. He made the wrong choice. What can I say to him, she says. The people in Ukraine have saved his life. His fate, along with the rest of the POWs, now hangs on the prospect of a future prisoner swap. He's been in jail for nearly a year, but it's far safer than life on the front line. As for those Nepalese men who were killed or are listed as missing, there are efforts underway to identify them. Family members back in Nepal are giving blood samples for DNA testing.
And what do we know about the extent to which Russia is using foreign soldiers?
Well, Russia hasn't disclosed any numbers, and in fact, we wrote the Ministry of Defense for this piece and we didn't hear back. But we know that they have recruited fighters from Cuba, Serbia, Syria, and of course, India. And India has put a lot of pressure on Russia to return its men.
Barry Stewart in London tonight. Coming up, a new docu-series is taking audiences behind the scenes, exposing the good, bad, and ugly in the NHL.
From a young age, my mindset was just I'm going to play in the NHL.
Our panel looks at whether this will build the league's brand. That's next.
From a young age, my mindset was just I'm going to play in the NHL.
The NHL pulls back the curtain, showing us what the players are really like. Part of a campaign to sell the game to new fans in Canada and beyond.
Sucks not being out there.
Come on.
Well, let's talk about the state of hockey with Rachel Dory, who's with ESPN and is in our Toronto studio, and Alex Silverman, staff writer with the Sports Business Journal, and he's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I want to set the tone with this clip from the new documentary series on Amazon Prime, and Oiler captain Connor McDavid like we've never seen him.
Right now! Right now! Right now! IPO, but it's happened so many times. But that's not good enough. But finals.
I've watched that clip so many times. Can't wait to see the documentary on Amazon Prime. Rachel, the NHL and its players have traditionally been very controlled, very conservative. What do you think's going on with this series?
Yeah, I really like this. If you look at a league like the NFL and what they do with Hard Knocks, they really give the fans an inside look, and it kind of feels unedited at times. You get to see difficult conversations. You get to see uncomfortable moments during the season. And I think with the NHL, they've been so conservative and closed off, like you said, Ian, and now we're really getting a look at what it's truly like in a locker room when all the chips are on the table, and we're talking about the best player in the game right now. So to see that side of it, I think opens an entire new door. It kind of peels back the curtain, and I think it's fantastic for fans and for the growth of the game.
Yeah, I love it too. I'm a big hockey fan, but I've never had any idea what goes on behind that curtain, so I'm looking forward to that. Alex, you're in the States. What impact do you think this series will have, especially on people who don't follow hockey?
Yeah, I think that, I think this series is from Box to Box Studios, which is the production studio that kind of came onto the map with the Formula One Drive to Survive documentary that really propelled the popularity of that sport in the U.S. I think it would be a little bit optimistic to think that it could have that same kind of effect. There was kind of a perfect storm for the F1 documentary. But I do think that this is a good step for the league in terms of, like Rachel said, giving people a peek behind the curtain and letting people know, a little bit more about these players and who they are off the ice. I think you get a great look in this series at Matthew Tkachuk and how much of an easygoing guy he is off the ice, and you compare that with Connor McDavid, who's more of an introvert. I think it's just really fascinating and makes the storylines a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I am really interested to see what kind of impact it has, if any, in the United States. I was in Seattle just a couple of days ago, watched the Kraken play Edmonton, first time in Climate Pledge Arena, which is fantastic. And it made me think a little bit about expansion. We're 32 teams now in the NHL. Rachel, what's your sense of when there might be expansion next?
I think it's probably sooner than I believe it should be. I think when you look at it, you had Arizona, and obviously they're moving to Utah, and it looks like they've got some good ownership now. But when you think about it, this league is a revenue-sharing league. And when you look at the financials of teams, the reality of the situation is they depend on teams like Toronto, Montreal, the New York Rangers, the Chicago, to prop other teams in the league up. And so do I think we're going to see expansion soon? I really do think we are, be it Houston or Atlanta. But I'm not necessarily sure it's a good idea. I'm kind of the mindset that until you have 80% of the teams in your league able to sustain themselves without relying on revenue sharing to succeed, you probably shouldn't be expanding, because you never know when those heavy revenue sharing teams that are kind of propping everybody up are going to get sick and tired of it. And so do I think I'll see an extra 2 teams? I do, but I think it's a little bit dangerous right at the moment.
Alex, let me ask a question to you a little bit differently. You're in North Carolina. Should the NHL be in Atlanta and Houston?
Yeah, I do think that the NHL can work in these non-traditional hockey markets, or as Gary Bettman has come to call them, new traditional hockey markets. You look at what's gone on in Florida recently with both of their teams, Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, both doing extremely well because they have stable and good ownership now, and they are putting a good product on the ice. Both of those franchises have really struggled at times when the ownership wasn't stable and they weren't investing in the product. So when you look at Atlanta and Houston, they're 2 top 10 TV markets in the U.S. So while I understand where Rachel's coming from with, you don't want these big market teams like the Leafs and the Rangers propping up smaller market teams. These are big markets where I think the NHL can generate considerable revenue, and then also the expansion fees are going to be very attractive to ownership.
One last quick question to each of you. And Rachel, I'll start with you. Tell me one thing that you're excited about, worried about, looking forward to with this new NHL season.
Yeah, I'm interested to see kind of how Utah does. And then in the city that I live in, it's pretty difficult to ignore the Mitch Marner discourse. As much as I do my very best to ignore it, it's just one of those things that when you're in a hockey crazy market, a guy who has that level of talent that Mitch Marner has and who means what he does and who is from the city, it's going to be really difficult to get away from that story. But I think outside of that, I'm really curious to see how Utah does. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I'm really excited. And I mean, how can you not be excited about a new hockey team?
And Mitch Marner, you know, as you say, a local hockey star, had a disappointing playoff. Will he sign a new contract? Yeah, lots of storylines for people in Toronto. Alex, one thing you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what happens with the Canadian media situation for the league. They have 2 years left on their contract with Rogers. Amazon is now showing live games for the first time this year. I'm interested to see if the relationship between the league and Amazon deepens and whether they become a player in the next round of Canadian media negotiations.
And here we are, first day of the new season. Weirdly, I think it started in Prague, but lots to look forward to. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you, Ian.
Next, two male flamingos working together.
One male would usually sit during the day and the other male would take the night shift.
Their newfound co-parenting skills in our moment. You're looking at two male flamingos at San Diego Zoo Safari Park tending to a newborn chick. When the zoo staff noticed the pair behaving like they wanted to start a family, sitting on an empty nest, they decided to give it a try. Tonight, the flamingos' shared parenting is our moment.
We noticed that two males were taking turns building a nest, and we decided to try and give them a fake egg. They instantly got on top of the mound and started incubating it. About 20 days later, after we gave them the real egg, so they sat on it for about 20 days, taking turns. One male would usually sit during the day, and the other male would take the night shift. We noticed that it hatched one morning. In the moment, it's very exciting to see a new bird come into the world. We see him feeding every day. He begs, and they both come running to him to feed him. They're doing a very good job taking care of him. The chick's about 6 weeks old right now. They start out about the size of a tennis ball, and right now it's about a foot to 1.5 feet tall. We're still unsure of the sex of the flamingo. We wait till they're a little bit older, and then we'll draw some blood on them and figure out if it's a boy or a girl.
So in our notes from the producer of that segment, Aksan, apparently it's not unusual for two male flamingos to bond. You know, it's a sweet story, but before you get too sentimental, the zoo has not named those flamingos. They are referred to as number 26 and number 27. That is the National for October 4th. I hope you join me Sunday for Cross Country Checkup on CBC Radio and CBC News Network, and later that night, right here for The National. I'm Ian Hannah-Mansing in Vancouver. Have a great Saturday.